How did you enjoy Juicy, Chico?
Juicy was great. It was great. Got a chance to bump into a couple folks in person, of course, and then got a chance to also have a conversation with Caleb on his podcast.
Yeah,
So
I can't wait to hear that one when it comes out. It's cool that it was done live there.
I know it was a different feel. I liked it.
Yeah, was there like an audience watching you guys do that?
Yeah, so there was like a live audience, so it was pretty cool. And then in the end, they got a chance to kind of ask questions and things like that. So that was pretty cool. That was different.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. It was a great event for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're a bit of a rising star, Chico. I see you like your name popping up. And by rising, I mean maybe you've been on the top for a while, but I see your name more and more coming up in the industry, and you're participating, contributing to events, and yeah. So we just thought you'd be a great person, just given you have a very unique business. You've been uniquely successful in some interesting ways. We're going to talk about virtual mail, as well as just some of the ways you've built your and designed your business, and how you've done that and scaled it so quickly, I guess, relatively speaking. But yeah, Taylor, do you want to start off by getting some background on Chico and the business,
Yeah,
and we'll
yeah. So
dive right in?
yeah, so Chico, I had a bit of an opportunity to speak with you last year to learn a little bit about this stuff. But can you maybe just walk us through the background of the business and how you got into it and how it kind of all kicked off?
Yeah, no, I honestly didn't even know like the industry, like GC or GWA existed until like a couple years back. um, but I kind of got into the business, I would say by kind of mistake, in a way.
Us
Uh,
too.
because like my first company that I started, which is a staffing agency. So I got out of college, worked for 4 years, and then at 26, with $1,000 to my name, I quit my first job, which was a staffing agency, and I decided to start my own staffing agency. So when I started that, I started looking for affordable office spaces, and I couldn't find any around where I lived. So, but I ran into one, and there was a landlord basically trying to start a co-working space in a way, pretty much. And then I ran into him and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I can pay what, $750 for a private office. And that's all I needed. So I got in there, started my first business, a staffing company. And within 2 years, I scaled it to about $1 million in revenue. And I attributed that mostly to not having to spend a lot of time or money with office spaces. So in that process, I realized that the 20 offices that he had within the space were just like basically empty. It was only three of us in there. So I asked him, I was like, hey, do you all need help filling this space at all? Because I have some friends that would be interested in this. And then they were like, yeah, sure, you can help us. And then 6 months later, I filled the whole space. And then they were like, hey, do you mind managing this for us? And I was like, sure, I can. And then in that process of just kind of managing it for them and helping them to be able to go from paper checks to like online rent payment platform, I was like, hey, this is actually a cool little gig on the side. And I realized they had more buildings. So I was like, hey, look, why don't we do this with like six other buildings that you all have, and I'll manage it for that cut that you're giving me. And they were like, no, we're not really interested in small businesses. We're more interested in larger corporate organizations that, have a history and things like that. And then I was like, well, how about this? How about I be that large organization that you sign a lease with, and then I go do this and sublease to other smaller businesses? And they were like, okay, cool. And that's just kind of how I got started. And then they pointed me to a building that they had vacant for a couple years. And they're like, go check that out. If you like it, we'll get started there. And it was like a Class C building. And it just needs a little bit of work. But, you know, that's how we got started pretty much.
Yeah, and so did you take over those six existing often locations that they had, but like you took lease in those buildings? Is that how it worked out?
No, so how it worked out is like, so they sent me to one of their buildings that was vacant and had, let's say about maybe a build out of about like 26 offices. And so they just gave me new carpet, painting, and then they were like, well, if you can get these 26 leased, then we'll give you the other half of the space. And that's just kind of how it started. And I said yes to that. But I quickly realized that the half that they gave me didn't even have a front entry to the building, and you have to go through the back. And I didn't realize that that was a problem until USPS tried to deliver mail, and then like the tenants in there, they were like, "Hey, Chico, we noticed something. Like, where does our mail go to?" That's when I realized I needed to hire somebody at the front desk. And so I put her outside to like wave down the mail guy when the mail guy came, because there was no front to get in. It was just like in the back through the garage just to get in.
The most specific instructions for how to enter the building to drop off mail.
Exactly.
But
So
I know,
Uber Eats.
yeah. Well, I know, like, speaking of mail, I don't want to jump ahead of ourselves because I know we want to get into mail because it's been big for you. But maybe before we get to that, I'm just curious. Are you 21 locations now?
we're 25.
25 locations. And so
Yeah.
how did you go from scaling from 1 to 25, and how do those locations look? Is it all leases, or do you do any management agreements? Like, how did you get there?
Yeah, so all of them are actually all leases. And just in the beginning, we were because we catered to just entrepreneurs that are looking for something that's affordable, flexible, and also professional. So our prices are anywhere between like that $500 to $1,000 a month. So it was flying off the shelf like hotcakes, pretty much, So we open up a location, boom, it fills up. We go, and then we take the profits from that, open up another location, and then just kind of like, let's just join that. I thought I made up the whole industry. I didn't even realize there was an industry until I had 18 locations, and I stumbled upon a GWA conference, and they were like, I think when I was at my first conference, they were like, so how many locations do you have? I said, I only have 18.
This is turning out to be one of the funniest podcasts so
Yeah.
far. And we have a lot
Yes.
of funny ones. No, that's great. That's
They're like
awesome, man.
18. We're like 18. I was like,
How-
yeah, only 18 locations.
How surprised were you to figure out that there was a whole association and like a massive industry attached?
Very surprised. Very surprised. Yeah.
I love
You're
that,
like
man.
you're
That
like
is
the
amazing.
pioneer. The pioneer until you realize that you were
He
like,
thinks he is.
yeah, you were the pioneer until you realized there was a whole fleet headed that way already.
Exactly. Which was funny, but hey, it is
It's
what
amazing.
it is.
Well,
Way to
you
go.
played it on hard mode, right? Because you wouldn't have been following any of the playbooks. Like you literally had to. You were innovating the entire industry.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
wow, that is amazing. But you know what? In that, and maybe Taylor's going to come to this. You've kind of found a unique kind of niche for yourself, and you do things a bit differently. So it's
Mhm.
almost like, I was talking to someone else in a different area, but like by not being kind of part of the community, and by kind of having to figure stuff out your own way, you didn't have any of those preconceived notions about maybe space size or what kind of ideal customer you should use, or
Right.
or like price. You used your good business instincts to figure it out. And I think that maybe that might have been part of your secret sauce, you could argue.
Maybe. No, but I Googled a lot of stuff. I was reading on Google, just everything.
And you
Just
didn't
like,
find like a single co-working, like one of our blog posts on marketing or like
probably.
yeah.
I'm
That's
curious
amazing.
too. Like, this is kind of off topic, but now that you said it, and just because we were just at Juicy, like, since discovering that whole community and meeting all those other people, have you changed anything in your approach? Have you learned anything in that community you've implemented, or have you kind of stayed like, this is what I'm doing, and I'm gonna kind of make it work the way I want to make it work?
Yeah, I'm sure there's been like, things that have probably changed, or things that have been confirmed. So yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, and then you
But
definitely
but but
contribute. You contribute
but
a lot. Like, I was when we were at one of those conferences in Raleigh, and someone was, William at iPostal One was giving a talk about virtual mail, and it ended up being kind of like a two-way dialogue between you and them. So like, you're at the conferences, but you've already figured a lot of things out. So I feel like you end up being a very active contributor in the industry as well, which is great.
yeah, no, it's a privilege. I like to be, because like, in the process of just like growing the business, like there was many a times, even now still, that, that I'm a little frustrated about certain things and, have to dig hard or try to figure out what's going on. So I just think like, if we can, get the information out to folks, that it'll save them a little bit of time and just save them a lot of heartache in the process.
This is a uniquely open industry too. I talk about this all the time with my clients. People are the most generous I've ever seen with other peers in the industry, and not all industries are like that. It's easy to take that for granted. So it's great that you have the mindset. And this might speak to you a little bit, but like I find the most successful operators, the ones who are the most generous as well, and the most open and contributory. And it's like, is that a consequence, or is there a correlation there? And
I agree.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting to see.
The more you give, the more you get.
Yeah. Yeah, and does that mindset, is that part of your kind of DNA that makes you successful? It's like, or is it because you're successful you feel like you can give? And I think it's the former. I think it's that mindset of openness and whatever, and there's enough for everyone, and we can all rise together, and yeah,
I
and I
agree.
think that's what makes you more successful in all the ways as an entrepreneur. It's
I
just the
agree.
patterns I've noticed. Yeah,
Yeah, Chico, too.
cool.
I'm curious. Like, obviously, your business now has become massive. So, what happened with the original business that you had built and were running when you came into the space? Did that get sunsetted? Are you still running that?
Yeah, call me crazy. Yeah,
Still
I'm
running it.
still running that, and I actually started another business too as well. So, but yeah, no, I'm running all three businesses.
Can't slow you down.
Yeah, yeah, pretty exciting. Yeah, so the
Yeah,
staffing just the staffing
Yeah.
company, which was the first company, I still run it. We have clients that we staff. We staff hospitals, nursing homes, doctors' offices, front desk,
Mm.
administrators. We staff a lot of different categories, different industries.
Mostly in the
And
medical
then,
space, or all over the place. You kind of mentioned.
yeah, so like hospitals, nursing homes, doctors'
Yep.
offices,
Yep.
with medical professionals. But then at the same time, we also staff administrative professionals. So like front desk,
Yep.
sales, things like that.
In medical related businesses
So,
specifically,
well,
or
it doesn't have to be
doesn't
medical
have to be?
specifically. So different
Okay.
industries, healthcare,
Hmm.
construction, administrative. Yeah, pretty much. So we staff any organization that's looking for a temp staff. We do a deal with them, and then we just provide them with a temp staff on a temporary basis or a permanent basis. Yeah.
has there been any overlap in those two businesses? Like, do any of your
Yes.
members, any of your locations, they come to you and maybe you can help them with staff? Is that something you put out there proactively, or is it just something that people know if they know you?
You know what? So when you say if there's been an overlap between my co-working business and my staffing business,
Yeah.
but not so much with the tenants and members, because most of our tenants and members are looking for affordable space. So it's a different demographic
Yeah.
that we serve with the co-working space, and then the staffing company. Staffing company are usually organizations that really have, some money to spend, and they're looking for maybe one, two, or three, four employees. Most of the tenants that we have are like solo entrepreneurs that just looking for affordable space.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. And Kev, I mean, I feel like we've touched on a couple different things here, and there's a couple different directions we can go. I know we want to talk a bit about marketing and a lot about virtual office. So, you have any preference on where we kick off with that?
We'll tackle the virtual stuff next, but I have some marketing related questions about the business overall. If you're up for experimenting with some of those questions, yeah. I mean, like, you don't you? It sounds like you didn't come from a marketing or digital marketing background. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, no, I
Um,
didn't.
so how, so how did you fill the first couple locations, and then what are you doing generally today to drive leads and keep your locations occupied?
So I think for me, I come from like I would say a sales background.
Yep.
So sales like really led the push for us to get the offices filled. So when it was just mostly me doing sales, I would just pick up the phone and just call random companies and just say, "Hey, look, I don't know if you've ever heard of Perfect Office, but we provide affordable office space. Are you paying too much for rent?" And it's a simple question. Yes, I am. Would you like to solve that issue? And bam, hey, we're right down the street. Come check us out. And that was it. 100 phone calls like
Wow.
that a day will get your office filled pretty quick. So and then, as we started getting more locations where I couldn't necessarily be at all the locations, we started doing things like yard signs. So we'll buy a yard sign and we'll put it out on the corner of the street. I mean, obviously, the county would take it up, but
Yeah.
we realized that most people don't work on the weekends. So if we can put it out on Friday evening when it rains, when the floor is kind of a little bit wet and it could stay for a longer period, put it out on Friday, it won't be taken up until Monday. So, hey, so we had the whole weekend to, just kind of market our services. And then folks will call on the weekends. I'll jump in my car and go give a tour and close them on the spot and have them sign up. So things like that, and other things that we were doing, Facebook Marketplace in terms of just like listing it as a product and folks reach out. So yeah, a lot of different things.
So not really Google Ads as a primary channel then? At
We've
least
never
not till maybe now.
never paid for Google Ads.
Not now either?
Not even now.
Wow.
What I love about you is you're just not constrained by the norms,
Yeah.
like it's kind of like you just like we just figured out, like if I figured out if I just call 100 people a day and I put out these signs and
Right.
good for
Like
you. That's
leaning into like
incredible.
guerrilla marketing almost even, right? Like the signs
Yeah.
out there, like
Yeah.
it's kind of like, we're not paying a lot for it. It's kind of guerrilla is what we used to call it, right? Like you're just doing it, kind of
Right.
that like
But
sneaky stuff.
Right. But now the good thing is because we have so many different locations and listed on different platforms, now we naturally get leads that hit our website and then we follow through that way.
Interesting. Do
Yeah.
you get many cold just through your website straight up, or is it mostly the referrals
We
from other places?
we do. And a lot of our referrals actually come from our current members.
Okay.
So they refer us or even their clients when their clients come in to utilize their service or whatever, they're like, wow, what is this space? And then they're like, hey, and then they look us up and they're like, hey, I actually came there for a service, but I'm really interested in, what you all are all about. And then they get an office or they refer somebody else to get an office.
Do
So
you have like, is there like an incentive program in place for members for referrals and things like that?
there is. So we have a referral program, where we pay out a bonus, uh, like a $250 bonus for uh, tenants who refer other tenants. Even non-tenants that refer. Anyone who refers is getting money, Even our teammates, whoever that closes on the lead gets a bonus. We have this whole little bonus structure where any transaction that happens with the organization, someone gets paid a one-time bonus, and then someone gets paid on a monthly bonus just for managing that and collecting rent.
Such a smart thing to have in place. I feel like it's not common in the industry.
No, it's not, but it will become more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For anybody for people who keep listening to you, they'll start to pick up on it.
Right.
Do you still do outbound sales?
No, not well.
No.
So I don't. But the way our bonus structure is kind of set up is it incentivizes individuals to do that because if they can get their own personal lead, they get paid twice the bonus instead of the regular bonus.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And do you find people are proactive about doing that outreach because of that?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because and it's hard to explain like here, but like the way the bonus structure works is the more the organization sells for the month, then the more bonus opportunity. So let's say, for example, if there's only 10 offices sold for the month, then a bonus sits at 100. But some months we get up to maybe 60 closes for the month. And at that point, it's at $600 per close. And, you know, so you can sell a $500 office, but you still get $600. So the most
Yeah.
it's ever gone up to is $1,000 for an office. Well, I think one month we had closed about 112 offices in one month. Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah.
What's your general occupancy across the portfolio like,
You know what? I don't even
roughly?
know. I don't measure
Yeah.
occupancy. I measure like
No.
rent, and
Revenue.
I
Yeah.
call it rent UC. Yeah. So I measure
Okay.
revenue. But pretty much if I was to measure occupancy, we're probably sitting at, I would say probably 85 to 90% occupancy. No, not 90% occupancy.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And do you think so you sound like you're a price competitive option. Is that like a part of your value prop, where everyone else is, whatever, charging sometimes significantly higher? Is price a big lever for you?
I think for our client base, I think
Yeah.
price is important to them,
Yeah. Small businesses, independent small business owners. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And you also you catered. So one of the things that I thought interesting about what you do is you'll actually allow hair salons or people doing beauty services to use your space for that. How did that come about? And it's like a classic case of mold breaking because you're just doing that everywhere else. Why not also do that with like how you sell your offices? But tell us a little bit about that service and how that came to be.
Yeah, honestly, that kind of happened by surprise too, as well. In
Hmm.
terms of like our customer base is the entrepreneur. So
Yeah.
the entrepreneur is going to determine what industry that they want to focus on. So
Yeah.
we noticed after a while, we started, especially during COVID uh, when things were kind of hectic, we noticed that a lot of like, let's say lash techs, makeup artists, massage therapists, or even like braiders, um, needed a space, and it didn't have to have running water because they didn't necessarily need running water.
Hmm.
And then they were trying to save on the cost of renting out a booth.
Yeah.
So in the regular industry, which is the salon industry, they have to rent out an actual booth, right? Or a chair. And they don't have a private office to themselves. They rent a chair and they have to pay like 250 to 350 per week. But then at Perfect Office, $600, $700, and they get the whole office to themselves. They can design it how they want, put up a flat screen TV, have a refrigerator here and just the way they design their offices are pretty amazing. So we noticed that was happening. So we were like, maybe we should market more to this industry, or cater more and make sure we have those conversations and let people know that we're open for that. Uh,
And do
you
you
know,
do that at all locations?
yeah, at all
Yeah.
locations. Yeah,
Hmm.
we're open to, again, I say the entrepreneur. So these entrepreneurs, of course, have so many different industries that they operate in. So yeah, we cater to the entrepreneur.
Does that affect does that
Yes.
affect the user experience a bit? Yeah. Is
Yes.
that where yeah, I imagine it does a bit, yeah.
Yeah,
But
it does. I
probably
mean,
in an
because
interesting way, not only negative, but probably positive and interesting. It makes it for an
yes.
interesting dynamic,
Yes,
I'm
and it
sure.
depends on the person, because
Mm.
some tenants might not be excited about that. And some tenants are excited about that. And I think because we're able to leverage a lot of different industries, I think that's what helps keeps the price the way it is.
Yeah.
Because if we were just focused on a niche, then that
Mhm.
means that we're going to have to raise that price up to meet all the expenses that involves taking care of that niche. Uh, so so yeah, I think that's kind of our secret sauce. Some tenants like it, some tenants don't, but majority of the tenants, they love it because it's affordable, space is professional, the leases are flexible, and hey, look, if I need a haircut, I can go down the hallway and get a haircut. If I'm feeling stressed and need some mental health time, I can go down and talk to my therapist or get a massage or whatever, that you want to get done. So people
It's
love
so
it.
interesting. It's
Yeah.
almost like you can be turned into a benefit, yeah. Sorry, Taylor, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's kind of like it makes you even more of a like a one-stop shop where the more conveniences that are under one roof, the better it is. Talk a lot about amenities and things like that in the industry, but you have all those things that they need, or a lot of the things that they need, but you're not the one facilitating them. They just happen to be there, and the connections kind of
Exactly.
happen.
It makes it a little bit more sticky, where like a tenant might not want to leave because their accountant is right down the hallway. They might not want to leave because their hairdresser is down the hallway or their lash tech is down the hallway. So it makes it a little bit more sticky. But at the same time, too, it adds a little bit more value in terms of, like, let's say I'm having some marketing questions that I may have. I can walk down the hallway and talk to Stacy, who's has her own marketing firm, so things like that. So just
You
works
could
out.
almost just to like go back to like traditional forms of marketing a little bit. Like you could almost run Facebook ads to lash techs and hair salon like professionals who may be working in different actual salons paying the rent. Be like, hey, are you paying too much for your hair salon seat or whatever, your salon seat or whatever.
And we
Like
do. Well, we,
yeah,
we pick up the phone, we call them. We just say,
you call
"Hey,
them. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, Yeah, we get
Yeah. Are
on.
they hard to reach that way? Like, because you can't just call the front desk because then the owner is going to be like, "Hey, stop poaching my people" or whatever. But
So there's platforms that these
oh,
individuals list themselves on there, and they want customers to call them. So when they do
yeah,
call them, they pick up the phone.
they
You'd be
answer.
surprised. So we just when I'm training like new team members that want to up their sales and get some bonuses, I'm like, hey, look, just hop on this website here, type in the city that you're in. It's going to show all the different providers in this in that zip code, and just call them. Say, hey, look, I'm just reaching out. I'm with Perfect Office, just reaching out to see that if you're interested in something different. And then if they are, they are. If they're not, no biggie. Keep it moving.
So interesting
Yeah.
that you have your team more actively engaged in proactive sales. I feel like that's also, again, like kind of you're throwing out the playbook, generally speaking, instead of doing your own thing. I feel like having your team more actively involved in outbound sales, proactive sales, is a bit unique too.
Yeah, they're very competitive. Sometimes I feel like I've created monsters, but you know,
Good
Do you ever
monsters.
do you
they're
incentivize
they're
top
they're competitive.
salespeople? Like, do you
Huh?
say like, "Hey, this person sold the most offices, like they get an additional bonus or whatever"? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so crazy. So every time something is sold in the organization, right? I know about it, and I send out an email to the whole entire organization, whether it's a virtual mail, whether it's a private desk, whether it's a membership, or whether it's a private office. An email is coming from me highlighting the person who sold it, highlighting where they stand for the week amongst everyone, highlighting where they stand for the month compared to everyone, and highlighting where they stand for the year compared to everyone. Because there's also a yearly qualification, as if you qualify, you get to go to an all expense paid trip with me. And so that's always fun. Later on this year, I'm taking
Are
them
you
to
are you fun on a vacation, or I assume you are?
yeah. Every
Yeah.
year we've been going for 8 years, more than 8 years now. And this year I'm taking them to Palm Springs, California.
Nice,
Yeah,
Nice. That kind of work
yeah.
for you, Chico?
Yeah, yeah. I'm terrible at outbound sales, but yeah, a lot of fun on a
Yeah.
vacation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. That's the balance.
yeah.
I love that. I love that, like the healthy competition, the competitive spirit that's kind of ingrained in everybody there.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
you're right.
you're not going to do this, Chico, but you could write a really wicked vibe coded AI like app that would give you a top, like a leaderboard that would automatically change all the data and the placements and would send that email for you. I know you're not going to do it, and it would probably undermine the human element that you're putting in, but I can imagine with all the virtuals you're selling and stuff, you must be writing a lot of emails, which is also
Well,
an awesome touch, by the way.
got it. So let me clarify that. So all the services that are sold by us for
Yeah.
us, the
Yeah.
third party platform, there's no way we can be able to send out emails to those
Okay.
because
Okay.
those are a lot each month. But
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
ones that we close
Got it.
ourselves. Yeah. So which is about, maybe I would say, like, I don't know, like 60 private, like 50 to 60 private offices each month. And then other services would be about like maybe 10 or 15, or yeah. So depending on the month. So, but yeah, no, I think they enjoy getting that email, and they know it's coming from me, that I, slowed down for a second, just
Yeah.
that email. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
And
super cool.
yeah. And then we have, like, competitions where it's like top five each month. We have a top five, and each month we do something. And then sometimes I might parlay that into a conference, um, Juicy. I just brought the top five with me to the conference.
It's
It's
gonna be a
good.
lot of fun for them too, especially for a city like Juicy. But I like,
Oh,
and
you
like
like
keep
New York?
saying, oh, New York was fun. I enjoyed New York.
Yeah.
I think I put on like 11 pounds when I was there from all the good food, but
Oh yeah, me too, for sure. Yeah.
it
And
was
we
a
came in there early. We came in on Sunday, and left on Saturday. So we just had a whole bunch of different activities planned. We saw the MJ Broadway show.
nice.
Yeah,
Is that good?
yeah, really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no team to bring, but it's New York's my wife's favorite city. So when I was like, "Oh, I'm going to New York for work," and she's like, "We mean we're going to New York for work." So we were there till Saturday as well, and she'd pre-booked, like every dinner was like pre-booked
Perfect.
weeks in advance. The itinerary was like set, but it was good to get a
That's
whole week there
awesome.
for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
See, she's the
yeah, yeah.
team. You have a team. That's her.
Exactly.
Well, I wrote off a lot of it, so she's on the team. For anybody in the CRA, the Canada Revenue Agency listening, she's on the team. She's on the
A
payroll.
lot of business was discussed. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
100%.
let's talk a little bit about virtuals, unless Taylor, you have anything else kind of just to chat about on the general ops side.
No, I'm excited to
Playbook
talk
Pro.
about the virtuals because Chico absolutely crushes with with the virtual
Yeah.
office.
So were you doing virtual office before you knew that virtual office was a category too, or was that just unique to the kind of co-working thing?
No, honestly, I had no clue about actually I didn't really understand how virtual worked, but I had one of the first community managers that I hired, and she used to work at Regis. So when
Okay.
she came on, she was the one that introduced me to DaVinci and Alliance. And she was like, "Hey, we have to sign up for these, and these are just like for folks to be able to sign up to virtual mail services." And I was like, sure, but she went through. I'm glad she went through the process of signing us up for both DaVinci and Alliance. And although I didn't pay much attention to it until like we probably had like 10 locations, and then I started to like pay attention. I'm like, huh, this is a nice little revenue coming in here. And then we got up to 18 locations and I was like, wow, this is really nice. So I started research. Then I started research. I was like, Alliance, DaVinci. I wanted to know the history of the companies and things like that. And that's when I stumbled upon iPostal. And then I stumbled upon Anytime Mail. And then I stumbled upon PostScan and Opus. And I just signed up for all of them. And then, and then we just, it takes a little bit of time to kick in, and then it kicked in, and now again, like I said before, we do about $125,000 a month on just virtual mail revenue.
That's insane. So
And are
you're
they
in the
all?
seven figures annually for digital mail alone.
Yes,
That's wild.
yeah,
Is it all through the platforms, or do you get much through your website? Or
all no, these are all just through the platforms.
wow,
Yeah, these are just all through the platform. So again, we've got Alliance, which we've been with them for a while. Alliance about $35,000 a month. iPostal about $26,000 a month. DaVinci about $8,000 a month. Anytime Mail about $8,000 a month. And then Opus and then PostScan. When they grow up a little bit, I'll start saying their numbers.
but they're
I'm, cu-
working, they're growing.
I'm curious too, Chico, like, because I know I'm less familiar with the others and how, the specifics, but I know obviously iPostal One, they've got iPostal One where they send people to your address to use you as a virtual address, but then they've also got the iWorkspace Mail, which is what you, same system offered to your members. So how much of that revenue is coming from kind of the people that are sent in to use virtual mail as they're non-members that they're using as an address versus what's baked into your membership costs? Like what's the split on that?
Yeah, so for iPostal, I do just only use iPostal.
Oh, you
I
do? Okay.
haven't started using the iWorkspace Mail thing.
Yeah.
But for iPostal, for Anytime Mail, for PostScan Mail, and for Opus, one thing I really like about those providers is that they take care of not just the invoicing part of it. So they handle all of that and then just send you a check. What we handle is obviously providing the service to the client. Um, and I can imagine DaVinci and Alliance are working on this, but with the DaVinci and Alliance, you have to keep track of your customers and invoice them, and then they will pay you out. So you got to make sure you keep track of all the clients that you have with them. And sometimes it could be a little bit of a work, but hey, at the end of the day, they're sending you money, so it is what it
If it, ma-
is.
if it makes dollars, it makes sense.
Correct. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Awesome.
are you? Is the revenue you mentioned, is that after all platform fees?
Yes, that's after platform fees. Imagine that's 50%. So
50.
if
Wow.
we're getting 125, that means we're probably generating about 250.
Yeah. And are people choosing you because, like, what's I guess there's a location factor to this, there's a pricing factor to this, there's a features factor.
Yeah.
What are the main reasons people are choosing you in what is quite a populated area,
You
competitive
know,
area?
The platforms probably have a better idea of exactly why folks are choosing us, or are they really choosing us? Because I don't know, because it could be maybe they're choosing other folks and then we're a secondary, or I don't know. But I think what we try to do with our listings is to just make sure that our pictures are crisp, professionally taken, and marketing wise, it comes across really neat. And I think that helps. Yeah, because we notice like our locations that have really nice, or our locations that really have nice buildings, or really nice pictures perform really well over time.
And
And do you
yeah, that's a huge one. Yeah. So go ahead, Dale.
Uh, do you have do you find at all that you get sort of upsell opportunities from digital mail? Like if somebody's coming in to use your locations as an address, do they eventually go, "Oh, this is actually a really nice space. Like maybe I should get a desk or an office." Like are you getting those kind of like tertiary benefits of offering it as well?
Yeah. So, like our team, of course, we're motivated to just close the sale. So, usually when they come in to pick up mail, and then they get a chance to interact with the team, hopefully they get a great experience. And a lot of times our teammates will talk to them, find out what they're doing, what type of business that they have, and then try to figure out a service that we can maybe upgrade them to, that works for them. Because those virtual mail clients, they don't have the benefits of being able to use our conference room for free, but our current tenants do. So, like, let's say if it's a virtual mail client that comes in and utilizes the conference room maybe twice a week, or whatever, at that point, our team member will say, "Hey, look, why don't you just upgrade to a membership? It's $99 a month, and you get free conference room use." So that's an upgrade there. And then sometimes they upgrade to eventually a private desk or a private office, and we've seen that kind of happen along the way. So that's why sometimes we don't mind the revenue share that we'd have to share with the third party, because sometimes eventually it kind of pays for itself in a way.
Yeah.
That's huge. So, so do you have any plans that include access to the space, or is it all just virtual services
On the platforms, the different
on the platforms? Yeah,
platforms, we don't.
yeah.
But on if they upgrade to us, we do.
Have you considered? Are you even allowed to put in like 1 day pass per month for a top
You are.
tier, or yeah? And
Yeah, you are.
and how come you haven't tried that, or have you?
It just logistically, we would prefer them to be a member, because we have to like give them access to certain
Yeah.
things, and yeah, so we just prefer them to be a member before we can give them that level of access.
And do you have lock boxes for your mail, or is it all administrative, kind of locked away? Like, but like, do I basically key access, or is it just, yeah, I talk to the person when I want to pick up my mail, other than what gets digitally forwarded?
Yeah, you should see our mailroom. Sometimes I think we're like UPS, or like, but no, you have to see someone at the front desk,
Right.
and then they would go back to the mail room, one of the offices that we've dedicated as a mail room, and then they would grab the mail and bring it up to the front, and then the person takes their mail and go.
And are there any additional overhead costs? Like, it's what I've found a lot of people push back on is the overhead of, okay, our team's already busy operating the space. They don't also have time to go and process all this mail. How do you handle that? And are there any additional costs that you have to weigh in, like part-time staff or support or anything?
I mean, no. I mean, well, our team, we already, I think the way we staff makes it really, really convenient for us anyway, because each of our location, we have a front desk.
Yeah.
And then we have two levels of managers. We have something called a membership manager and a community manager. So our community managers handle the private office tenants. And then our
Hmm.
membership manager handles all of our membership, private desk, and virtual mail. Okay.
Hmm.
So those two levels of managers are always assisting the front desk staff, at all times, at any time. So that's how that kind of works. So even if
At
a
every
front desk,
location
every location. So,
has 3 staff?
no, li- every
Yeah.
location has three staff, two of them assigned, but one that's always there. Does that make sense?
Got
So the front desk is
Yeah.
always there,
And then so
but
the other 2 are roving between a few different locations.
exactly. So a
Yeah.
membership manager and a community manager is assigned to maybe, I would say on average, 5 locations.
Okay.
Now you have some community managers and membership managers that have performed well, and they have up to 8 locations to themselves. And there's a benefit to adding a location. pay wise and also bonus wise too as well.
So they make sure they cover the gaps, and if that community manager is sick or that front desk person is sick, they might plug in there, and then
Yep,
and all your members know who to contact should they have any issue whatsoever. There's the person at the
exactly.
front desk or their designated,
Yep. So
person. Okay.
what we do, we give them that email address for the location. So as long as they send it to that email address, all the team members at that location would get it and be able to respond accordingly.
And do one of those two people run like programs or events? Like, do you do any kind of happy hour or lunches or breakfasts and stuff? And who
Yeah.
does that?
Yeah. Based on their location and based on their location revenue and budget, they have the ability to be able to do any event that they want to do. So it could be, we've done really cool events, but we're not heavy on events, but we've done really cool events, depending on the location. Some locations are very event driven,
Mhm.
and some locations are not. They're just,
Yeah.
and it could be us. It could be the team members not coming up with maybe a creative event idea, but we've done stuff like hot chocolate day. We've done stuff like, you know, uh, uh, what do you do during Halloween? Um,
Oh, like trick or treat or
Trick or
like,
yeah,
treats,
trick or
yeah.
treat
like
for the
yeah,
kids
dress up
or
costume or
costume. Yep,
yeah,
So we've done really cool events, but I wouldn't say we're the best at events. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
we do some.
yeah.
You might be
Cool.
the best at digital mail though, or virtual mail. I'm I'm
Yeah,
curious. Sorry to
and
cut you
outside of the
off,
box
Kevin.
thinking.
I was just
No, you
curious
go
in
ahead.
terms of because we talked a lot about the incentive programs that you have for the staff across all products, and obviously digital mail is a massive success. So I'm curious, like, if you were to gauge how much having your members or your staff incentivized to sell virtual mail, like how much has that impacted its success? If you hadn't done that, do you think it would still be at the level that it's at today?
No, absolutely not. Actually, before we implemented it, one of our biggest complaints, like Kevin was saying, is that folks will say they didn't have time. It's too much work. I don't have time. I need help. Um, but the way the bonus works is the more clients you take on, the more revenue we generate. And they're getting a percentage of the revenue. So they're getting a 2.5% on the revenue that's generated for their location. So
Mm.
then we started to see, well, that our team members would gladly take on more clients because they understood that the more revenue that they brought into the organization means more money for them. And so it's funny because as that started to go on and everybody was on the same page, so I'll go to like busy locations and I'll say, hey, look, let me ask you a question. Do you think we need another staff member here to just kind of help you out a little bit? And if you understand how the bonus structure works, you don't necessarily want another person because now you got to split the bonus with them. But
Mm.
if you don't have them, you get to keep the bonus all to yourself. So they're like, no, I can handle this.
Like, we
I'm
don't
like,
need
well,
somebody to eat my lunch here.
so it works out. It works out for both the team member and also the organization, so that way we can provide a great level of service to the client, but at the same time, not necessarily increase our overhead costs.
And how do you split
Yeah.
it with the three team members assigned to a location? Is it the person at the desk gets like 50% of it, and the other two get a smaller piece, or
Good
is it?
question. Good
Yeah.
question. So the location individual, so the community assistant at the location, they get a 2.5% of the total revenue. And
Is
then
that
the
the front
members,
desk person?
yes, the front
Yeah.
desk,
Okay. Yeah.
2.5%. And then the membership manager also get a 2.5%. So the company is sharing a total of at least 5% with the membership manager and the community assistant. Now the community manager, which handles the office space, they have a different breakdown in terms of what their bonuses are based on rent collection. So if they collect 85% rent, they get $250 for that location. If they collect 90%, $500, 95%, 750. If they collect 100%, they get $1,000 bonus just for that one location.
Per
So you
month.
could imagine per month. So
It's
you can
incredible.
imagine if a community manager has 8 locations, they have the potential to make $8,000 in just bonuses for that month if they're successful in collecting 100% rent.
Are you hiring like currently, or
We're always
is there
Sounds like
any
a
we're
remote
always looking
opportunity?
for great people.
sounds like a pretty
Yeah,
good deal.
It
yeah,
sounds pretty good. So I guess your base salaries would then become a bit lower, and it is
it
more
is.
structured for the incentives, I would assume. Yeah.
It is. Correct.
Yeah. And so you're probably going to attract a more entrepreneurial, hungry individual to work
That's what
there
we
who's
want.
going to, and then
That's
some
what we want.
ownership and yeah, someone who's got some gusto, which is a great skill set to have. Like, and then that person's bought in. So when a member has a problem, they're not just like, Chico, this person's, being whatever, they're like, no, let's keep you cool. Let's figure this out. I imagine that the experience as a member would be pretty interesting and just like entrepreneurial, which is also your customer. So
Yeah,
just
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. No, we definitely allow for like that entrepreneurship spirit because I just feel like it's just what's needed in terms of just us being able to provide for our customers in the price range that we're providing for them, and then also for our team members to think outside of the box to be able to deliver. So they even have the freedom of determining what's spent at their location because they understand, and the way it's structured is what you can spend whatever you want to spend at your location, but just understand that that's going to reduce your revenue for the location, which also reduces your payout.
So it's like
So
your income. So you're paying on not top line revenue. You're paying on on profit, I guess, or operating profit at that location.
the get so
Or
basically
is
the expense is okay, yeah, sure. Let's go with that. Let's go with that.
okay.
There's a little
It
bit
sounds
of
like
a
a
detail
blended
to it.
formula. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But
Okay,
but
but
yeah,
there's a certain tie to like you can spend as much as you want, but it's gonna smaller the pie for you. And
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. Interesting. Very cool.
I guess another benefit of that too is like you as the business owner with 25 locations, you can't be omnipresent at all of them all the time.
Yeah,
So your staff are kind of like the frontline touch points for all those members. So if they're incentivized to be paying attention, to be asking questions, be inquisitive, document things, and then to come back to you with ideas, I'm sure that probably helps you in some capacity to optimize operations, optimize member experience, and things like that, which I'm sure helps
beautiful.
reduce churn and all that stuff.
It's beautiful. It works really, really well for us because that way, like you said, it allows us to kind of corporate me to kind of be everywhere and know what's going on because everyone is kind of incentivized to just kind of deliver on what we're trying to deliver. And then it also helps us to be able to scale because sometimes folks are like, you've got 25 locations and you are not stressed. you know,
Yeah, and you got
I'm
two other
like,
businesses. Yeah.
I think the model, the way we kind of have it structured kind of works where it's decentralized but centralized at the same time with certain things. So it works.
And
Um,
how's your training and processes? Like, I mean, do you establish processes, or do you kind of say like you teach their own, and every location has their own dysfunctional but functional, system, or how does that work? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, a little bit about that. I mean, I think sometimes certain team members obviously need
structure.
SOP
Yeah,
structure, and some don't. But me, if you leave them to me, I'm gonna throw them in the fire and see if they burn. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that's how I am. I'm gonna throw you in the fire, and if you survive like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, then you get to go. Uh, but if not, then hey, I'll pair you up with the manager that's very detailed. We have some team members that are very detailed. And sometimes when I look at like the way they like structure and write down stuff, I'm even impressed, but that's just not my thing is just pick up the phone and make a phone call. In
It's
the
like
process, you'll learn.
if you have good incentives, they're going to figure it out. It's almost like in the age
Exactly.
of AI, there's two kinds of agents or bots. One that just like follows your instructions, and one that like will think and then run into an issue and then will think. And you want the latter because that's going to be the one that's going to just be constantly adapting to the because every location is going to have their own stuff to adapt to,
Exactly.
and
Yep.
it's
There's benefits
interesting.
to both, but
Sure.
I prefer, the latter, but there's benefits to both.
it's almost like you're co-developing SOPs with those highly driven people too. I guess they're
Exactly.
documenting things and they're noticing ways to optimize, and then you're being like, okay, well, hey, let's make this part of the process just in general.
Exactly.
Do you
Yep.
have a way to share those experience? Like, let's say you're really good at sales, and I'm like dialing for dollars, and no one's answering, it's not working. Like, is there a way that you share how you do things so that it becomes part of your hive mind, if you will?
Yeah, so we have team meetings every month where we gather the whole entire team and then we just kind of like and we go over certain things that people might have questions about or how to do certain things. So we go over those things and we highlight individuals who are performing so that way also, if someone doesn't want to openly say that they need help, they can always reach out to that person in the back of the scene and say, hey, look, I noticed that you're performing here. I would like to learn how to perform, and then they would just get together and just kind of figure it out. We also have managers meetings on a weekly basis. So I meet with my managers every single week, every Tuesdays. Um, and then another thing that we do, we have something called our marketing competitions. So every 3 months, we have a marketing competition where the top 5 people, they get to pick their teammates. And then they get on this team where at the end of that marketing competition, there's some things to be won. You can either win a couple dollars worth of raises, you can win a trip, you can win a bonus payout. So in that marketing competition, I realized that the folks that really know what they're doing will teach it to their team so that way they have the potential to win. So it just kind of like after every marketing competition, everyone kind of gets better in their sales and their numbers. It just works magic.
There's so much genius to what you've done, and I feel like part of it is because of you just kind of went into it yourself and had to like create incentive structure so you could do other parts of your business or whatever else. And it seems to be really working very well. You're obviously a very intuitive entrepreneur, and it's awesome to
Thank you.
see. Were you always entrepreneurial minded? Were you the kid who always had a little business going on, or is
Yeah,
this, yeah,
maybe. I was always incentive driven. I would say that because,
yeah, why?
let's say, for example, I didn't used to really get good grades when I was growing up
Hmm.
in school,
You sound like
but
you could have if you were
no,
interested.
but I did. But I did
Yeah.
eventually. So
Okay. Yeah.
after middle school, I was like, you know what? I really want to change and get good grades, but I need some type of incentive. So I wrote up a proposal to my mom, and I told her, I said, hey, look, for every A that I make, I want to get $20. Okay. And for every B I get, I want to get $5. And then for every C that I make, I owe you $20. And if I make
Wow.
no, every C that I make, I owe you 10. And then if I make a D, I owe you 20. So I wrote up that structure, and mind you, I was averaging a C and a D. So she thought she was gonna make something
She's about
out
to
of it.
make some money. Yeah.
So I give it to her, and she says, deal. And
Yeah.
because of that structure, I went from an average of a 2.0 to 4.0 in my first semester in high school, and had a 4.0 16 semesters in a row, and got the Bill Gates scholarship to any college I went.
Wow.
Yeah, so it
Why
worked
didn't we
out.
lead with that? We should have led with that, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I
Who
thought I was
knew?
gonna be a doctor, but I realized that I wasn't interested in being a practitioner, but I was more
Mhm.
interested in owning a practice.
Practice.
So I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? Maybe I'm more interested in business. And then and the rest was history.
Have you thought of getting
So
into the medical space, medical buildings, or anything like that
I haven't thought about it. Uh,
until
but
now? So if we
yeah,
see
yeah.
if we see, we heard it here first. It seems like it would be
Yeah,
an interesting kind of loop back to your
it
part of your
would
original
be.
vision.
It
Yeah,
would be.
you have some
Kev, you should
overlap
have
with that already.
laid out your
Wait,
compensation,
wait,
your
actually,
incentive structure for that
I have the
idea.
agreement right here. So
I'll send it over. I'm pretty
yeah,
glad.
I'll
Like,
just yeah.
were those IKEA instructions that you just had up there?
Here's a treadmill instruction. Yeah, it's just how to tighten a treadmill.
The walking treadmill under your desk.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Yeah, you got to start your
professional.
contract somewhere. It looked
Yeah, it
pretty
looked
good. Yeah,
professional at a glance. I bought it for a sec, but I didn't know you better.
he knows me too well.
Uh,
Well, I am mindful of time. Taylor, are there any juicy questions you have left for Chico? Yeah, Chico, you're doing a phenomenal job, and it's
Thank you.
amazing to hear you kind of come at it organically and instinctively, and probably through a lot of hard work, obviously. And so, just really impressed. I was already impressed by the stories I heard, but really impressed hearing how you kind of came to grow it. But Taylor, anything else you want to ask while we have such an
No,
insightful guest?
I feel like we've gotten so many insights that I'm still mulling them over. But just echoing Kev's sentiment, it's awesome to just listen to you talk and hear the way that you approach things, and it's super cool, super inspiring, and I feel like it shows in your kind of like your success and presence in the industry. So appreciate you coming and sharing your not all the secret sauce, but some of the secret sauce with us.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. I mean, thank you guys for having me. Yeah, it's like, for the folks that are like maybe like building their business or starting their business in the co-working space, I think a lot of times we can kind of like beat ourselves up more than we're supposed to. But I would say just, keep a clear mind, connect with folks in that are part of the industry, and you'll get the answers that you need, but don't make it harder than it is or it's supposed to be.
Yeah, we have a client friend who calls it paying the dumb tax, and he says, you make the mistakes, it costs you a lot. Don't pay the dumb tax. So within the industry, you can chat with people. To your point, you can learn, and maybe people can give you some insights that help you avoid paying some of that dumb tax.
I agree.
Well, Chico, I'm sure you paid enough of it though when you were getting started, not even knowing you were part of a broader industry. So, but also think that was the reason you are where you are today, right? And so some of the dumb tax is just like figuring out. And to this day, you don't run ads, and that's one of the first things I look at with my clients is like, how are your ads doing? How's your website going? And how do we start to drive more awareness and traffic? And you just kind of completely broken my mold for what's possible, and I love that. So yeah, I might have follow-up questions for you, but yeah, really appreciate your time. And where can we send people to connect with you? Would LinkedIn be a good spot, or is there somewhere else
I'm
you
starting to
want them?
use LinkedIn more and more. I'm still trying to figure it out, but mostly just Instagram is where I'm at, and also
Okay,
where Perfect Office is. And they can reach out to me that way, or a phone call or email, whatever. I'm always available. I'm available 24/7.
amazing, amazing. Well, thanks, Chico. We really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you at the next event. I'm sorry I couldn't make New York, but we'd love to catch up with you. Maybe in Denver if you're gonna go to the GWA in the
Of
fall. But
course, I'll see you there.
awesome,
So,
thank you.
thanks.
All right.